Currently, several states, including California, Kansas, and Oklahoma, have lost their bond programs for first-time home buying programs. Minnesota has cut back on the amount of loans that they are doing. What would you do to ensure that these programs will not be cut back and will remain intact for South Dakota?
I am going to date myself because 30 years ago I used South Dakota Housing as a first-time home buyer and was able to obtain my loan for my first home through South Dakota Housing. Within the last 2 or 3 years, my 2 oldest sons have now used South Dakota Housing to purchase their first home, and without that program wouldn't have been able to do that. As the co-chair of Northern Hills Habitat for Humanity group, we are working with the Dakota Land Trust to obtain land in Deadwood that would then be used as a habitat home. And we know that this is a huge problem. The casinos and hotels in this area are importing foreign workers to come in and help them because we just don't have the workforce here, and it's because they can't afford to have a home here. So this is all a very important program. We need to ensure that it continues, and I believe that it's in very good shape right now. This is not something that is threatened, and I think that, as you've heard, it seems to everyone up here in front, it's important.
How do you ensure that we still have our programs like first-time home buyer and other things of that nature? You know, we just got done talking about priorities. I think a program like that, you just have to make it a priority. I mean, it provides opportunity for people to move to South Dakota, for our younger people to stay in South Dakota, and as a lot of you know, it's hard for young people to stay here. When I graduated from high school, I knew I was going to the University of Wyoming. I'm like, I'm not coming back. It's a hard place to work. I'm certainly not going to teach here. That's not a career move. But, you know, I love it here. I love South Dakota. I love that our legislature is so accessible to our citizens, the quality of life that's here. That's why people live here. So it's important that we maintain these programs like first-time home buyers. You know, Fred mentioned the governor's house. That strikes very close home to me. My sister lives in a governor's home. There's no way. She does nails for a living, you know. She's a great lady. But there's no way she could afford a house in probably even Butte County now or Lawrence County without a program like that. So we need to continue to support the programs we have in place like the governor's home, explore creative partnerships. I know at the Belfry School District, the carpentry class builds a couple houses a year, low-income houses, sells them to people. I mean, explore those things where schools are integrating their communities, keep the programs that we have to put people in homes, because if young people can't afford to live here, they're going to move someplace with higher wages where they can afford to live, and that's not going to be good for the state. We need young people here, developing businesses, working in the businesses that we have, putting their kids in our schools. So I think how do you keep them around? You just make sure they're a priority. I think that's something that is very worthy of being a high priority in the state.
Well, fortunately, that is still intact in South Dakota. One of the great things that's happening, especially in our region, and we've been part of Black Hills Vision, we're part of it as well, is that trying to capture the affordable housing problem by doing what they call the Dakota Land Trust. The Dakota Land Trust is for a certain amount of land, whether it be donated, purchased, however it's established. Houses built on that, on Dakota Land Trust land, are part of the program, stay at a certain fixed cost. If you are a first-time home buyer or any home buyer as an affordable housing home or a workforce home, you go in there and there's only so much you can sell that house for because you don't own the land. You just own the home. You can make improvements, you can live in it for as long as you want, but when you sell that, it remains at a level that remains affordable for the next person coming in. And as that, and Black Hills Vision just invested $300,000 into it, South Dakota Housing Authority has invested into it. There's been several very generous banks in the area, First Western, Wells Fargo, Great Western have all put money in the pot. And in this area, I think we're at the forefront of affordable housing because it's extremely important. Because the problem with Black Hills, as we all know, is it's not affordable. We've got some great properties. We've had a lot of values go way through the roof, and it's very difficult to secure the land out of it. Sometimes it's very easy to buy the structure, but the land itself is what's out of line. And they don't make land anymore, so we got to take care of what we've got. And so I think we're taking steps here in western South Dakota, especially in the Black Hills. And I think if they follow leads throughout the state, that those things are going to continue, and we will continue to have affordable housing or workforce housing, whatever you want to call it. But it's a very exciting program, and I'm glad we're part of it.
That I've spent a lot of time on because at one time I was on the board of directors of the South Dakota Housing Authority. I spent 10 years on there, 9 years. I was the chairman of the board, and during that time, we put in place some loan programs that we're still using today. The first-time home buyer that you just talked about, The thing that's going to keep housing money available in the state of South Dakota is the fact that we have a very strong housing authority. We have a very strong housing authority board, and the government, the governor, and the legislature are staying away from this. They run a very good operation. When I was on there, it'd be nothing for us to go out and bond for $250 to $600 million. And this was back in the 80s. That was a lot of money at that time. We have a housing authority that's run by a gentleman by the name of Mark Lossing. It is very fiscally responsible. They have within their budget a lot of cost-cutting measures. And so I think as far as affordable housing, when you're talking South Dakota Housing Authority, first-time home buyers, we're solid. We're going to continue being that way. All we need to do is continue to support what we have in place.
In Lawrence County, we currently have a development called the Ward Development just north of town, wherein there are approximately 15 to 20 not low income, but first buyer homes that have been implemented via the programs that have been previously discussed. And I believe that those homes are selling as quick as they're being built. I think several are being built. In addition, South Dakota tried something years ago, and still is, as the governor's house. I haven't heard much about those lately. That affords an opportunity for people to get into a first-time home. And I believe there was some discussion about how that competed with some of the contractors. But I think South Dakota has been fairly visionary when it comes to homes for the first-time buyer, has made options available for them. And I reiterate the fact that this is happening in Lawrence County and the Ward Development. Right now, I sit in the Spearfish Planning and Zoning Council, and we are advocating that type of opportunity for first-time homeowners.